My name is Safiyah Hernandez. I'm 16. I'm a musician, singer-songwriter, and I just released my album, Homesick.
I want to introduce you to alternative indie artist, Safiyah Hernandez.
It's fitting for me because of how much I talk about moving from the West Coast to the East Coast, because it was such a huge life-changing experience for me. I was really attracted to the dichotomy of the word, how there's home, which is like warmth and comforting, and then there's sick, also like another word for cool. A lot of the album sonically is influenced by hip-hop, a lot of rock, and there's also a lot of Spanish influence and Arabic influence. The very first time I performed on stage was when I was 8, and I was in the musical Annie, and I played Annie, and I was so happy about it. I was singing like Tomorrow, and I had to hold this note. I loved acting up there, and you're so focused on like getting your lines right and being in the character that you don't even realize what's going on. When I first started performing, I was going to lots of cafes around the Bay Area. It showed me how many places there are for art, that are especially for art, and how many people and communities there are who really care about it and are kind of just dedicating their entire lives to showcasing really unique and authentic art. I just felt like it was okay to mess up and it was okay to make a mistake. I think the time that I was most able to really hone in on my music and dedicate a lot of time to that process and performing places and getting to know how I felt presenting myself and just continuing to write music was when I was at Smalltown Society, which is this community art space that is very dedicated to making sure there's a sense of community, being inspired by all these other musicians. It was so inspiring to me, and it was like they became family. Like Paul Keim, he introduced me to so many different people, hooking me up with 25th Street Recording and Starry, my producer. There's something so comforting about just picking up an instrument and being able to freestyle and record yourself and listen back and refine things. Making music with somebody is such a vulnerable thing because you're writing together, you're like sharing experiences, and you're talking about so many different things, and we both have this immense love for music and the creation of music. There's so much representation, I feel like, that is missing for somebody like me, and if there is, it's not always good quality. I'm not speaking for every single person, but I think we're just so much more self-aware and conscious of what's going on in the world. For me also, it's a bit different because I was homeschooled for such a long time, so my mom kind of just like handpicked everything that she was giving to me, and she wanted to make sure that I had an authentic education and that I was conscientious about lots of things in the world, about politics, about social justice. I've just grown up in very rich cultures. We're a very spiritual family. I've had so many long, in-depth conversations with my parents about spirituality. There's so many things going on in the world, and so many people try to make it controversial when a lot of it is just human rights. I'm from so many different places around the world: Pakistani, Indian, Mexican, Irish, Italian, plus being a Muslim woman. There's so many other people like me that aren't represented in the way that we want to be represented, and I feel almost obligated to give that and to incorporate it in my music and my art and the way I present myself. I feel so emotionally impacted by music and by lyricism and melodies, and I just think it would be such a fulfilling thing to know that my music can provide that for other people. When I wrote 9 p.m., that was in the midst of so much. It was right after George Floyd's passing. It was during the pandemic. There was a curfew. We couldn't be out after a certain time at night. There was so many things, and there was so much unknown. So I didn't know what was in store for me. So all of that combined itself into 9 p.m. And that song is still so special to me. My great-grandma she was very simple. As an immigrant mother of 3, she's just so strong. It's also really hard watching somebody lose their memory and lose their ability to move. I think her passing was she could finally just be free again and not be strained in her own body. The lyrics of Neon Lights are very vulnerable. The music video kind of takes that and flips it on its head by adding fun and creepy elements to the song. And that was all my dad's idea. Me and Starry had so much fun with the production of that song because it's so funky, and like the bass is so good, and I love, that's one of my favorites sonically. Pink Sunglasses, I was inspired to write that after I watched American Graffiti. There's so much media that's been created to depict the 50s and the 60s. It's either really, really white or really racial. I wanted it to be more diverse and lighthearted.
Guess it wasn't your time.
I love You're So Cool because the production reminds me of this dramatic movie scene. Me and Starry really experimented with the production on this one. It went through so many different drafts it's very moody, it's very mellow, but it's also sad. I wrote Skateboard when I was listening to a lot of 90s East Coast hip hop and skating around. That song was just kind of talking about like escaping stress.
All I hear.
Mars is about the climate crisis. A lot of these issues are being put onto my generation, and it's such a huge burden. Aliens definitely exist, and they just don't want to come to Earth because of how destructive we are. The music video for Mars is different from the rest because it's animated, and it's me being this super awesome space warrior with a cape and a helmet, and just me singing about how I don't want to live on Mars because we have Earth and we should take care of it. Stardust was the first song that me and Starry wrote together, and we wrote it dedicated to all the people in the world who are not accepting of change and of diversity, and who are stuck in their old ways of thinking. The video is a nod to Bob Dylan's Subterranean Homesick Blues music video with the signs and the lyrics. I hope that people will enjoy it, and that people will enjoy it on a deeper level and really get what I'm trying to do.